Hey, this is Ross Harrison from Precision Health and Fitness, and I decided I'm going to do at least a little mini series on essentially how to create healthy muscles and develop optimal function. And instead, I'm going to do a little bit of a general overview today, but then I'm going to go into some specific joints, areas, muscles, body parts, things like that, and give you an idea of what this looks like in practice. So, the topic today is I want to cover two things, and that's muscle stretching and muscle release. And you need both of them for healthy muscles, like muscles that function well. And a lot of times, honestly, we're lucky if we do one of them. Not too many people do both. But if you really want your body to feel good and function well, you need both. So I'm going to talk today a little bit about the difference between the two, what they are, and then going forward, I'm going to focus on an area and show you different, like some of my favorite techniques from both sides on how to take care of that area of the body. So essentially, muscle stretching. I'll start there because that's one that we're all familiar with to some degree. May not be doing it, hopefully you will. But stretching, essentially you're just trying to elongate the muscle. So wherever the muscle is, and a little bit of anatomy, or at least having an idea of how things connect in your body, is very helpful for stretching, because really there's at least 2 points: origin, insertion. Sometimes there's more, but you want to essentially increase the distance between those points, and the more you do that, the more the muscle's stretched. Of course, you can overstretch a muscle and push it too hard and cause a bunch of problems that way, but for the most part, your muscles need to be at least an optimal resting length. If you have some more than that, that's great, but if your muscles are kept in a shortened position, you're going to create problems. And I won't go into that, but I'll just say stretching, and there are many types of stretching, from like static, ballistic, dynamic. There's different types of stretching. You've got, contract and relax type stretching. But in essence, and this is just as a little simple, before you exercise, a lot of times the more movement-based stretching, dynamic, even light exercises going through a full range of motion, that's an effective type of stretching. Before you work out, you're not trying to really increase your sort of default range of motion. It's more just preparing your body through the range of motion you're going to use. After you work out, that's where the more static or longer hold stretching, the deeper stretching is going to be much more important. And that is to return the muscles to the resting length after they contract when you exercise, and to create even more motion so that your muscles are just healthier overall and can function well. So, okay, stretching. So muscle releasing, this is something that not too many people talk about, at least in my experience. And that is where even if you stretch a muscle out and make it longer, that's great, but if there's still a lot of tension within the muscle itself, increasing the length of the muscle doesn't automatically make that tension go away. So you can make a muscle longer and still have a ridiculous amount of tension that makes it not as functional as it should be. So, and that's where you may have heard terms like myofascial release or self-myofascial release. Literally releasing, usually it's using tools or getting a massage or different things to release the tension within the muscle. So like I just have a few of them here, your standard like long 3-foot foam roll. And again, foam rolls, there's all different kinds. This is like a 1-foot one that's a firmer material, the white one's softer. And again, there's foam rolls have become sort of their own industry at this point. You got half and long and short and all kinds of different tensions and different knobs and all kinds of stuff. You can also go simple lacrosse ball. You can get pretty much any sporting goods store. Chiropractor first told me about this a long time ago, and they use them all the time in their practice because they work really well for certain areas. I'll also just show like another option is the stick. And again, I've been using these for over 20 years, and now you can get knockoffs or different ones, and like even places like Target and Walmart sell things like this now, and just they roll. And regardless of all of them, they work differently. There's different parts of the body use some differently, and there's all kinds of other tools out there now, like crooks and things where you hold onto a stick and put pressure. There's no limit to myofascial release type products now, but with all of them, the goal, depending on how they're used, is to find the tension within the muscle, knots, trigger points, whatever you want to call them, and put pressure on them, roll over them, do something to get them to release. And that does cause a release within the muscle. So releasing the muscle also does help it stretch better, but more than that, it decreases pain, gives you a healthier range of motion, and it allows your muscles to contract harder. Because if a muscle's already somewhat like if a muscle should be this long and it starts this long, it doesn't have as much room to contract. But if that same muscle's starting over here, it has more motion to move, and you get a stronger contraction, which means you produce more force and more strength. So many different reasons why this is important. And you combine the two and the results are even better. So I'm also going to share that myofascial release isn't the only way to release the tension in your muscles. So like some of the stuff I've been showing lately, like the arch and flatten, or the different things where if you take a muscle through a range of motion and go really slowly during the lengthening phase to a point where you're not actually feeling a stretch, but feeling your muscle having constant tension while it's lengthening, that is another wonderful way to create release within your muscles. So all of these things, and yes, this is a lot. So it does become sort of a challenge to manage. How much do I stretch? How much do I release without having it take, hours every day? So a lot of this is, I tend to identify the parts of your body that are the tightest, that are causing the most problems, and focus there and see how you feel. Some days you may have a bunch of time. You may want to just have a recovery day, and instead of doing a workout and forcing yourself to push yourself, take that workout time and just do release and stretching stuff. It can make a huge difference to your body. So that's a little bit about the difference between the two. I'm going to keep this one short and not go, because there is so much you can cover with each one of these. But so next video I'm going to come back and I'm going to take one body part, show you some of my favorite stretches, some of my favorite releases. And like, stretching seems simple and so many people know what stretches are, but there's still ways to sort of customize them for your body and maximize what you get out of them. And a lot of times we don't talk about that, and like what is an ideal stretch for me for the same body part may not be ideal for somebody else. So I'll give you some tips on how to really put this stuff into practice to really get the most out of your muscles and your body. So Ross Harrison, Precision Health and Fitness, and have a great week, and I'll be back with more. Bye-bye.